All right. Yeah, so we were talking about gaslighting, and I asked you, what are the signs?
Yes, I would describe gaslighting as being a form of emotional abuse, which is often found in abusive relationships, when one person forcibly questions the thoughts, thinking patterns of another person, what they saw, and making them believe that whatever they saw, whatever they experienced, and whatever they felt was not true. Gaslighting can ultimately result in the victim questioning their own sanity at some point, asking themselves, whatever I felt, was that really true? Despite the fact that they saw things in front of them. And gaslighters are really good at what they do. So that definitely is a big, big, big red flag. And we really need to avoid these types of people. And whenever we do get into a relationship, when we take our hearts with us, let us take, our minds also, our ability to question certain things. Nobody's 100% perfect. Of course, being in a relationship, and you specifically mentioned, love relationships. Being in a relationship, definitely there will be more love, more affection. And many people have a tendency to see love as a weakness. I would say love is a strength. When you and the other person, your partner, come together to blossom in love and to use that love to propel themselves forward towards more success, more, being able to do more things together and being stronger as a couple. And if at any point, any relationship makes you question your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own sanity, then this is not love. This is dependency, codependency. This is toxicity. And we really need to let that go, no matter how much we will cry afterwards. Something that is not healthy for us is meant to be avoided at any cost. And we need to build that inner strength within ourselves to be able to, at some point, to say, no, I'm putting a stop to that.
Yeah, I would just add that I think loving the wrong person, that's where things get messy.
Definitely.
I would still want like a live example of gaslighting. I just want to be very clear about it. So let's say, okay, you try it on me. What are the kind of things you would say so that we have like a real example of what gaslighting is?
Oh, this is really difficult. So I would say, I know that you're passionate about what you do. As a gaslighter, I would really question your life purpose. Do you really believe that whatever you're doing is good for everyone? How do you know everybody wants to listen to you? How do you know that whatever you're giving out to people, is it necessary for the society? How is it helping other people? How do you believe that the people that you're bringing on your podcast, they are the best people? Because people are people, And maybe I would say such things that would make you question your very life purpose and whatever you're doing. Is it really contributing for humanity, or is it only a means for your own, to boost your own ego?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I understand.
Believe it or not, when people do, I have had gaslighters in my life, and they really know what to trigger within me to make me question myself on very important things, I am very fortunate that being on the path of spirituality, excuse me, being on the path of spirituality and doing meditation, I really could build that emotional strength from within to be able to say no, but it was not easy at some point.
Yeah, okay, good point. But I always try to actually listen and try to think whether it's true or no. Like, for example, I get lots of feedback from people usually, and some are good and some are not good. And sometimes if you just listen to the feedback of people, you won't know where you are actually. And which proves your point that you need to be stable on your own. I'll give you an example.
We really need to. We really need to, because at the end of the day, if we can be either swayed by praise or we can be swayed by the negative things people say about us, then what about our take on ourselves? How stable are we from within to be able to take both praise and criticism negative with the, aim to hurt us? How can at what point, can we make ourselves so stable that nothing sways us? It is only then that gaslighters won't be able to affect us, no matter what people say. We are stable from within, and we accept praise and criticism from the same frame of mind. This is very important. And keeping this in mind, we can be perfectly aware when people are trying to gaslight or when people are really genuine, because even criticism can help us move forward. If it is if it is said with the intention of helping us improve, of course.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to, because we still need feedback from people.
Definitely.
But, yeah, the tricky thing is that each person is different, right? And the perception also of each person is completely different. And in Zen, we have something, we have like a sort of notion where we say that we can't share perception, meaning the way I look at the world and the way you look at the world, they can have similarities, but there are no like full overlap because we see different realities completely. Like, for example, one person once told me that, I don't want to be like you because you look like someone who has no emotions. Okay. And I don't want to meditate and reach a point where I don't feel anything for my child. Okay. I think that was quite honest. But the same thing, maybe you interpret it in a different way.
Sorry, may I permit myself to say that people often confuse, I'm not criticizing that person, but I would say that people often confuse stability with the feeling of, being stoic and not having any emotions at all. Being stable from within does not mean that we do not feel things. I would rather say we feel things, but in a much deeper way. But our perspective on what we are feeling, that is different. That is more neutral. And it enables us to have that balance to be able to think things out clearly and express ourselves in a different way that might be perceived as being totally neutral and unemotional. So sorry, I cut you right when you were expressing yourself, but I really felt that I had to, express that, because yes, people can confuse inner stability for being unemotional, which is not true, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Then I would have said that, but you would probably see that as being grounded in reality, right? So that's how different the perceptions of people are, actually. So yeah, we can listen and try to see what is actually we can take from it, let's say, but we can't just take it fully to be the truth. So yeah, perception is quite interesting in that sense. So, all right. So we've talked about heartbreak. We talked about the signs which lead to possibly having a heartbreak. But what if it happens to you now? Okay. So if it happens to you, how do you cope with it? Because there are many things which happen. I'm just going to explore like the scenario. Okay, the type of things which goes through my mind, let's say in the initial stages. So if a betrayal happens, let's say, and if it's someone who's really close, like your sibling or a very close friend, or let's say someone you're in love with, so someone who has a big impact till it happened. So the first things which go through your mind is, okay, what did I really do for the person to behave like this?
Why me?
Yeah. No, it's something that goes in your mind. Did I really do something which caused that? It's like an automatic response.
I believe we have all questioned ourselves at one point or the other, Did I really do something, as you said, to provoke such a reaction from that person? Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yes, it's a valid question, actually. Because sometimes maybe you did something you didn't realize.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And then if the person like really, let's say aggress, how do we call that? Let's say the person was really violent towards you in terms of words or things. Let's say the person insulted you. Okay, then, so the first thing you would ask is, what did I really do for the person to behave like that? And then you start questioning, okay, how could I be in a relationship with a person like this? Then you start to doubt yourself. So
how did it lead to this?
The person. Well, right. So you start to doubt yourself again. And then you know what happens, Keshini? What happens is all the memories you have with that person, okay, everything gets questioned. So it's as if you've wasted all your reality because nothing seems to be the truth now based on what happened. So what happens at that point is there's this big instability actually, because everything has been a lie. Everything you've lived with that person till now has been a lie. The person is fake. And then you question yourself also, how could I not see that happening? So there's a sort of, I don't know whether that's called guilt or something else, but you question yourself also.
Guilt, self-questioning, self-analyzing, being self-critical, not understanding our own value. You know, a lot of these things, negative, certainly, that make us question our own beings. And you know, this can be to a point, it can actually create physical pain when you actually feel that your heart is, you know, it's hurting. It hurts. Physically, it hurts. So now after going through all of that, people, you know, they go down and down into the spirals of hell and depression and maybe suicide also. Where people are not able to take on that physical, emotional pain with everything that comes from that. So maybe the one question that might help us is how to heal from betrayal and heartache. We speak a lot about that, no? And this become, I was telling you on the phone just before we spoke, I have a beautiful download on how to heal from betrayal and heartache. And I was asking myself the question, what do I tell? What do I share? What can I share which might be helpful for your viewers and which might be helpful, you know, in the long term, short term and long term also. And the beautiful answer that came was to heal through our senses. I would start with something very romantic. When we get engaged or when we get married, you know, we put the ring in that finger because it is said that, you know, this has a vein which leads straight to the heart, which means that all our senses are linked to the heart. And how do we heal from betrayal and heartache? Through our senses, within to without, all without to within, from the outside to the inside. If we are broken on the inside, we heal from the outside to reach the inside. You know, so one thing might be through our eyes. So how do we heal a heartbreak and betrayal through our eyes? By watching soothing things, by going out physically, you know, traveling is very important. When we travel, exactly. When we change our scenery, automatically it becomes, you know, like a soothing balm to our heart. Second, with our speech, you know, whatever we say, we are manifesting that. If we change our speech, no matter how we're feeling inside, and for that, we really have to be strong, you know, when we feel like crying from the inside, we cry through our eyes again, isn't it? When we cry, we heal. The inner pain is transformed through our tears to the outside, and then it purifies and heals. So cry as much as you feel like cry. There's a certain taboo in our society where men don't cry or women, you know, we have to cry in private. No. Of course, it is good to cry in private. You're not going to broadcast your pain out to everyone, but be in nature. Cry in nature. The strength in nature is going to help us move through that pain and eventually go on our path to healing. Crying is actually the first step to healing because we are acknowledging the pain. It is worse when we do not acknowledge. And then second, through our speech, let us speak of affirmations, positive things. Let us visualize, see what we want to happen to us so that we do not fall into a pattern of meeting, betrayal after betrayal. The cycle is the same, the person is different. And then we will ask again, as you said, why me? I thought this one was perfect, but he's not. He did the same thing as the other. Why? Because we are, creating the same thing over and over again. And then through our hands. When I say through our hands, when we create through art, it has been seen, it has been proven that art is a very therapeutic form. It heals. We can use art, we can use dancing, we can use our body, we can use dancing, we can use yoga, we can use meditation, we can use traveling, walking barefoot, on grass. All of these things are definitely going to help us. And then through eating, through what we eat. It has been proven that some foods increase our prana in us and others have a tendency to diminish our prana. So watching our diet, keeping our body, even through fasting, keeping our body light, drinking a lot of water, flushing down all the toxins away. All these things, will definitely help us. And of course, taking one day at a time. Not feeling that we have a burden of a lifetime to go through. No, slowly taking one day at a time. We can heal through our ears, listening to healing frequencies. There are so many things available on YouTube. Listening to, watching and listening to motivational videos, talking to people who uplift our spirits instead of talking to friends who have a tendency to lower our own vibration and make us feel worse about ourselves. So definitely, Girish, we can definitely heal through our senses and through our sixth sense, learning finally to listen to ourselves. We have that inner voice that is going to tell us, oh my God. And we tell to ourselves, I knew it. So next time, if that voice does tell us, instead of ignoring our voice and listening to outside and, being stimulated by chemicals in our brain or attraction or, let's just listen, take a pause, breathe, listen. We can heal through our nose, breathing. No, not necessarily normal breathing, but powerful breathing techniques that can really help us pause, calm down, relax. Excuse me. And then move through.
Yeah, true. And all the things you've mentioned point toward one thing. We all point towards releasing emotions through the different forms. And I think that's the most important one. It's releasing rather than getting yourself distracted. Because remember we were talking offline, and according to the stats, women tend to get over heartbreaks easier than men because as per the study, they have a stronger network, so they can talk to friends and they can release emotions like that. Whereas men, what they do is they repress in general and they don't get to deal with it. So dealing with it also is very important. And you did talk about like the same event happening over and over again. And I've observed that also. And it usually happens because our behavior hasn't changed a lot over the years. So a specific kind of behavior attracts a certain kind of people in our lives. So if this doesn't change, that's why it's just like a new face, but the person is doing the same thing the previous person did.
Because we are attracting the same thing over and over again. Till we do not learn the lesson and change from within, it's going to continue. It's a pattern.
Exactly. And we need to be very aware. And sometimes good things, what I've realized is sometimes you may think you're doing the right thing, but it may not be the right thing. Like, for example, just being kind to everyone. It's not the right thing to do sometimes, because there are some people with a bad intention that they need to, for example, take advantage of that. So we need to be really aware that there are different kinds of people around us. And you did mention that, and then you try to say it in a nice way. You should not be loving each person the same way. No, but this is true. This is true, and I actually believe that. I think we should respect everyone.
But we must learn to say no.